Tony Khan claims AEW critics are army of Twitter bots. Plus, WWE renamed multiple NXT stars on SmackDown, and released WWE stars got SmackDown tryouts last night. It's all in the wrestling news right now.
Can we just talk about that? Army of Twitter bots.
Don't know what you mean. Just my normal voice, mate. Tony Khan flavoured news today. Now, okay, there's been lots of jokes online. We're gonna tell the story. We'll editorialize a little bit afterwards. Tony Khan on Twitter said the following: an independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals. It's a staff running thousands of accounts and an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely, these aren't real people. Who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing? Research this one for yourselves. You internet detectives thrive in these situations. Ever wonder why so much of the activity on these accounts is retweets and replies? Like, who actually has 80% of their activity is straight up retweets? Tell you what, their boiler room staff is going to be working overtime on a Friday, and I love it. Wrestling Inc. God bless you, Wrestling Inc. reached out to Tony Khan and asked, "You what, mate?"
You what?
That's exactly what Wrestling Inc. said. Tony Khan clarified the statement, saying, "Waiting for the final study, but here's what my expert confirmed. It's people with real live accounts making posts and then using their bots to manipulate the social channel algorithm by backing them up with engagement from a made-up Twitter identity. Social media terms will often fight on this. Bots are great for numbers, and when they're gone, you see a dip in digital conversion impressions. Both those were either negative sentiment or not real anyway. For example," he gives an example, "I tweet, Mega only eats rotten bananas. I throw, say, 18 bots behind it. It takes about 5 minutes. Twitter security can't differentiate when done well. Neither can most social terms. The problem becomes every time people type Mega into a search bar, because of a real account supported by bots, the first suggested result would be tweets about Mega eating rotten bananas. I'm oversimplifying, but that's the 5-cent version of what is happening."
The X-Files theme just running through my head. Some like high-tech like scenes with reflections in glasses and people sat. Look, Come
on, Sam.
Are you surprised? Like, are you genuinely surprised? No, don't fall over me.
I planned that.
I think, in this day and age, you've seen what's happening. Like, just disregard wrestling entirely for a second, everybody. Look outside. The world is on fire. It's been on fire for, 2 years now? Nearly 3 years. Mm-hmm. The internet, especially social media, is just a dumpster. It's a giant dumpster full of this stuff. So it's not surprising in the least. And somebody like, we know who he's insinuating this about, and this is hardly beyond them. Like, what, are you going to pay for some bots? Like, it's going to cost them next to nothing in terms of, how much money they have.
So do you believe there's some validity in what Tony is saying?
I don't know if it's something where it's... Because we've seen bots being used to stuff ballots before for stupid things like, like Taylor Swift and the competition for the she'll come and play at a school, and they stuffed the ballot so she went to a school for the deaf. Things like that. Bots have been used before in situations like that. Now, we don't know if it is yet at this stage, and we're likely never to know, because if it is WWE, they're hardly going to come out and go, "It was me, Tony!" They're not going to be doing that. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was just rogue groups of people. It wouldn't surprise me, because we know how diehard some people can be for the product that they love the most. And, it could be any number of things, but it would definitely not surprise me if it's WWE. But in this day and age, in the way that social media is, in the state of the world as it is, it's small fry, right?
It is.
We're using bots to run down a competitor. It's crap. It's horrible. It shouldn't be being done. But ultimately, it doesn't surprise me. It's 2022.
I just think Tony Khan is running 2 wrestling promotions and booking them all,
and Fulham and the Jacksonville Jaguars and several
Jaguars. And at some point he's got to have his dinner, and I don't know why there's such a fuss.
I think there's got to be a fuss, because look, ultimately this means that if it is WWE, say, right, if it is WWE that is paying for people to, utilize bots in order to manipulate search results for AEW across social media, then I wouldn't be surprised. It's just it feels like it's par for the course in this day and age, and it feels like, it's kind of cringe. It's kind of cringe if it does come out that it's WWE, and it's a bit like, wow, like, you don't care, do you not? You're spending all this money doing all this, but they're never going to admit to it. We're never going to know. It could be just rogue groups of people. It could be anything, but it doesn't surprise me, not one little bit.
I think that there the anti-AEW sentiment, and there is that, and I think that Tony putting out stuff like this, it's only going to fuel that, though.
Well, that's the only other thing about it, is that it's kind of like, hey, look, and it's like, do you really need to? I get it, draw attention to it, but like, I don't know.
I think it's more the case of the results aren't really out yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's where maybe if results came out and it went categorically, it is this person, it is that person, it is whoever, we don't know who it is. And then maybe you can do something with that information. But I think Tony got excited and just went, whoa, do you know, bots, eh? They've ruined wrestling. He jumped the gun on that, and I think he should have waited until the due diligence had been done. Because he even said to Wrestling Inc., we're waiting for the final study.
Well, he's rich. Why doesn't he buy all of social media and just get rid of it? That'll fix a lot of things. Get rid of bots straight off.
The industry reacted to this in the way I expected the industry to react to this, with multiple wrestlers from across the board lampooning the comments made by Tony Khan, including Becky Lynch, putting out the tweet. An independent study confirmed that much of the staunch anti-Becky in arena booers aren't real individuals. It's staff running thousands of AI.
I mean, technically, we've seen them pumping boos and cheers quite frequently over the last couple of years.
I mean...
Is that not one giant
shout.
bot? The big, crowd machine where they just press a button and it goes, yay!
You calling Kevin Dunn a bot? How dare they? He's a very real boy. Joey Janela put a fun tweeting, it's me, Tony, it was me all along. So Janela claiming that it was definitely him. Tony Khan had a little bit of fun with himself about this, because David Bixenspan approached him about the body that conducted the study.
Yeah.
And he said, not using my own company for it, I hired an independent person to review it. I have no idea where Brian Alvarez got the information about that he'd reported.
Yeah.
And he said, I must now dock his £200,000 a month paycheck according to one of these preposterous lists, with Dave also was receiving similar compensation, then liked and retweeted by hundreds of thousands of bots. Bot bans in the news. We'll keep an eye on that one. WWE changing names. This feels a bit more normal. This feels like a nice warm salve.
Yeah.
WWE SmackDown last night. We saw three new faces rather to the main roster. Imperium have landed on SmackDown.
Yep.
Gunter, along with Marcel Barthel, although he's not Marcel Barthel anymore.
No, he's not. He's not Axel Dieter Jr. He's not Marcel Barthel, which doesn't make any sense because you gave him that name, guys. Why are you changing the name that you gave him? I don't understand. I kind of get Walter. You want to have, rights over everything. But if you gave the person, it's like Piper Niven. You gave Piper Niven the name Piper Niven, or at least it felt that way. So why change it?
New coat of paint, mate. Ludwig Kaiser is Marcel Barthel's name.
Ludwig Kaiser is the most American-sounding German name.
It is, isn't it?
Hi, I'm Ludwig Kaiser. Like, it's the... Oh, my God.
But at least we now know there was a Kaiser. He was in this, they've got a new color theme as well. Gunther squashed local boy Joe Alonzo in the process of debuting. And then moments after that, we had another one. Raquel Gonzalez walks backstage for an interview. She's not Raquel Gonzalez anymore, because that's her real name. She is Raquel Rodriguez now, which isn't a massive pivot.
Not a massive pivot, but it's just getting ridiculous, man.
I'm happy to see Raquel Rodriguez on the main roster, though.
Yes, very much so.
She'll be a force. And you know what? And Gunther and Barthel. I feel bad for Fabian Eichner, who I feel like popped out for some milk, came back, and all his mates were gone.
Yeah, it's just kind of been disregarded a bit, hasn't he?
You notice that Imperium has lost one member every time they've moved to a different brand.
Oof.
Is it like we're paying a toll? Like a sacrifice must be made before you move along. Good luck to both of them. Released WWE stars got tryouts last night night, not as talent, because that'd be weird, but as producers. Fightful Select saying that Joe Hennig, formerly Curtis Axel, and Arya Daivari were backstage getting tryouts in production roles. So Daivari helped produce the Drew McIntyre-Sami Zayn match with Chris Parks, formerly Abyss, watching over on that one. And we also had Hennig involved in producing the Sasha Banks-Liv Morgan match.
Yeah.
So, good brains to have backstage.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, both have a wealth of experience within the wide world of wrestling, but WWE especially. I think especially for Curtis Axel, Joe Hennig. So he was with the company for, I think, if you factor in his developmental time, like 13 years. So he's somebody who's probably very, very well versed in the style, and it's same with Arya Daivari, really. Like, just well versed in the style. Hopefully that means that they'll transition quite easily into producers roles. I do know that apparently there hasn't been any update yet on the results of said tryout, but hopefully we'll find out in due course.
Well, I'm hoping for Curtis Axel this is the beginning of the genesis of something very special for him. More news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.
Bye.